Kris Hamel. Kris is an organizer and activist with the Detroit Workers' World Party branch and is a managing editor of our newspaper. Kris will speak on why we fight. Only socialism can save Detroit. Kris.
Good afternoon, comrades. I want to address my comments mainly to the youth, the wonderful young people that are with us today. I joined Workers' World Party when I was 21 years old. I've been a member of the party and in the struggle my entire adult life. It is a commitment that you will make that you will never regret. And you might ask yourself, why are we doing this? Is it because demonstrations are so much fun? Because organizing meetings and conferences are so much fun? Because we have so much anger at all the outrages that are committed against the workers and oppressed? Yes, it's true. Demonstrations are fun, meetings are great, we have a lot of anger. But I want to talk to the youth about why we fight. Workers' World Party wants to expropriate the expropriators and overturn capitalism, an economic system whose demise is way overdue. In this age of imperialism and endless war, low wage and dead-end capitalism, we fight for socialism, not as some utopian dream for a far-off future, but as an absolutely necessary and realizable goal in the here and now for the liberation of humanity's majority and the uplifting of the masses of people worldwide. Is socialism real or just a utopian ideal? The potential for building socialism has never been greater historically. Technology provides the ability to coordinate production and to plan, not just on a local level, but on an international level. Hospitals, schools, roads, housing, immediately, these could be built with breakneck speed while we put the brakes on the destruction of the environment and climate change. Millions of workers around the world will have jobs and be involved in these projects. We could immediately end hunger and feed and provide water to the people of the entire world, erase illiteracy, cure widespread diseases, house everyone, just for starters. The revolutions and attempts to build socialism thus far, whether in the Soviet Union, China in its revolutionary period, even in Cuba and Vietnam, did not have the advantage that we have of advanced technology. They either had to open the doors to capitalism to get that technology with the consequences of introducing inequality or undermining the socialist base, or in Cuba, maintaining its revolutionary perspective and consciousness, but with the consequence of building socialism on a relatively low industrial basis that was heightened with the collapse of the Soviet Union. However, even under these unfavorable objective conditions, many gains were won that have never been achieved in any capitalist country. Full employment, the elimination of homelessness, the Cuban healthcare system, which is a model for the world, free and universal education. East Germany was a beacon for LGBTQ rights. A lowering of crime. There were 50 murders in the entire Soviet Union before the counter-revolution, unlike the hundreds that occur every year in cities like Detroit, Baltimore, and Chicago, a product of national oppression and the ensuing effects on social relations. And international relations will be based on solidarity and cooperation rather than imperialist exploitation, like the Bolivarian Alliance, but on a worldwide scale. The contradiction of the current period is that the same technology that could liberate humanity on a socialist basis serves to intensify the exploitation and suffering of the masses when that technology is in the hands of the capitalist class. Homes are being destroyed in cities like Detroit, blighted. School closings are rampant as finance capital holds education hostage to massive debt service imposed by the banks. Racism and national oppression are intensified and used by the ruling class as a weapon to keep the working class divided and unable to fight back. Nowhere is this more true than in the city of Detroit. Once Detroit was the industrial center of the U.S., a city where the workers, and especially African American workers, could earn a relatively decent wage and decent benefits and pensions, but for very hard work. Now Detroit is the poorest city in the U.S. with child poverty well over 50%. Detroit went from the city with the highest home ownership rate in the U.S. to the lowest today, with blocks and blocks of vacant, really miles and miles of vacant land and blighted homes due to the predatory practices of the banks, which have led to over 100,000 foreclosures in the past decade. Our once great city has lost a quarter of its population in the last 12 years. The contradiction of the current period is not that socialism is not real and possible, but that it is the objective contradiction between the ripening material conditions for a socialist transformation and the lack of a revolutionary class consciousness in the working class. Overcoming that contradiction is the fundamental task of the party and of all revolutionaries. Trotsky laid out a program. Leon Trotsky, one of the leaders of the Russian Revolution, laid out a program, a perspective on how to carry out this task in the transitional program written in 1938. And he wrote, quote, "The world political situation as a whole is chiefly characterized by a historical crisis of the leadership of the proletariat. The strategic task of the next period, pre-revolutionary period of agitation, propaganda, and organization consists in overcoming the contradiction between the maturity of the objective revolutionary conditions and the immaturity of the proletariat and its vanguard, and the confusion and disappointment of the older generation and the inexperience of the younger generation. It is necessary to help the masses in the process of the daily struggle to find the bridge between present demands and the socialist program of the revolution. This bridge should include a system of transitional demands stemming from today's conditions and from today's consciousness of wide layers of the working class, and unalterably leading to one final conclusion: the conquest of power by the proletariat." Thank you. And he continued, "It is necessary to put forward a system of transitional demands, the essence of which is contained in the fact that ever more openly and decisively they will be directed against the very bases of the bourgeois regime. The old minimal program is superseded by the transitional program, the task of which lies in systematic mobilization of the masses for the proletarian revolution. This is the art of revolution, how to make our program living and real and move our class in the direction of a socialist revolution. In Detroit, we do this by raising our demands against the banks as the perpetrators and benefiters of the city's economic crisis and destroyed neighborhoods. Cancel the debt. Take it from the banks, not city workers and other. These and other slogans have evolved into an agitation and propaganda campaign that has exposed the role of the banks and the entire capitalist system in the destruction of the city, and how under capitalism there are no solutions to the myriad of problems facing our beloved and besieged city. And that extends to our beloved and besieged working class and oppressed peoples throughout the United States. Capitalism has nothing to offer to Detroiters. It has nothing to offer to young people, nothing to seniors, nothing for workers and oppressed peoples, nothing but misery. The objective conditions for socialism are ripened and ready, but it is up to us to inject socialist ideology along with our anti-capitalist demands and help jumpstart that awakening of consciousness of the mighty multinational working class. Thank you.